Well, this week's episode of Hannibal not only focused more on the ramifications of Will's supposed murder of Freddie Lowndes, but also we got some perspective not only into why exactly Hannibal killed Abigail Hobbs, but also why Margot really wants her brother out of the way. I mean, we had gotten somewhat of a picture before, but now we have actually gotten a glimpse at her entire plan. And once again, Hannibal manipulates all of the pieces the way that he wants. So, not really a whole lot wrong with this episode, with one exception. And I will get to that in a few minutes, but aside from that, this episode on the whole was very interesting. I have to admit, there was at least a little bit of doubt in my mind as to the twist later in the episode, because they actually recycle a scene from Red Dragon regarding this character. So that twist at the end regarding I'm not even going to give it away, regarding a certain character, then I have to admit it was a good twist. And if you have not seen Red Dragon, then you will probably not see it coming, or at least not as much as I did. But if you have seen Red Dragon, then I think you will come to expect that, yeah, this show's writers will probably throw you for a loop, or at least try to. So again, that twist works better if you have not seen or read the book Red Dragon. But with that said, like I said, it was still a very good twist. It was executed very well. There was appropriate build up, there was appropriate setup. And it really makes everything much more interesting. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice if they had gone all the way with because they actually do kind of reverse. It is kind of a reversal of something that they wrote for the character of Will Graham, like some action that he did. I'm trying not to give it away here, not succeeding very well, but it basically undoes something that he supposedly did in the last episode, which you might consider that a cop-out, but in my opinion, and the way that they kind of play it, it just proves that more and more people are kind of turning to Will's side. More and more people are saying, you know what, let's see where he's going with this. Maybe Hannibal Lecter's not all we think he is. So at the end, we learn that he might have some conspirators in his plot against Hannibal Lecter. So again, see where that goes. I believe 2 more episodes. At least it got renewed for a 3rd season. That's the important thing. But yeah, that was appropriately interesting. I really liked the build up that they had going throughout the entire episode for that, and said build up even provided some interesting new material for the character of Alana Bloom, which, to be honest, I was getting kind of tired of her constantly preaching Hannibal Lecter's innocence. I mean, she can tell when she is being lied to in this episode, which again strengthens her character, strengthens the intelligence of her character. It doesn't make her seem like an idiot, which she shouldn't be an idiot. I mean, Dr. Alana Bloom should be an intelligent character, and they portray that fairly well here. I mean, she can tell that she is being kept out of the loop on many occasions. So finally confronting Jack Crawford about that felt like the appropriate action. And now that she's in on the grand plan, as it were, then it seems like the walls are closing in around Hannibal Lecter. So it'll be very interesting to see where that all plays out. And we also got some nice motivation for Margot, because in hindsight, I felt that the relationship between her and Will that was established in the last episode was a little rushed, and now we know why. We know why that she all of a sudden slept with Will upon just meeting him. So, I suppose if I had really been on my A game last week, I probably could have predicted this, but now to have it actually clarified for us, then, and to see the characters' reactions to said motivation, then yeah, I appreciate the fact that they threw that in this episode. I'm not saying they're trying to pander to the stupid audience who doesn't pay attention. I'm just saying, it makes for some interesting character moments and some interesting scenes, and an interesting monkey wrench in everyone's plan when it's finally revealed in clarity why she slept with Will. So, with that said, the way that her brother is written, it was a very cruel thing that he did toward the end, upon being egged on by Hannibal Lecter. And this would seem like the type of thing that Hannibal Lecter would do. I mean, he wants to see what would happen. Oh, God. I really want to see how she reacts to this. How Margot reacts to this upon after what her brother does to her at the end of this episode. Jeez. That's just mean. Oh my God. Yeah, she was conspiring against her brother, but still, jeez. Jesus Christ. I never thought he would go that far. And this may have to do with the fact that we haven't really gotten to know him all that much. He just seemed very cartoonish in this episode, and this actually leads me to the one point of the episode that I did not like, which was the character of Margot's brother. From the get-go, I've never really been the biggest fan of his character, mainly because he just seems like such a contrast to everyone else, just in terms of how over the top he is. And maybe that was the point, but honestly, it doesn't really pan out the way that they want it to. This guy is just so gleefully crazy and so transparently evil that I just didn't really find him interesting, and at the worst of times, I actually found him kind of annoying. When he's in Hannibal Lecter's office and he's lying down when Hannibal Lecter asks him to sit and talking very loudly, I said, "Come on, shut up. Shut up." But like I said, what he eventually does at the end of this episode kind of restores my faith in actually enjoying his character, because I did not enjoy his character at all in this episode or in the other episodes, because he's just been so one-dimensional, in my opinion. They don't really give him a whole lot of depth. They give him a style of craziness in that he's the head of a meat plant. He's the head of a meat industry that specializes in pigs and other livestock, or especially pigs. Pigs are basically the only thing we've seen him interact with in this show, but we've seen his style of craziness, but we've never actually seen any kind of motivation. Why is he like this? I mean, we get some of that here, in that he was being raised by his papa to be the next Verger, to be the head of the Verger family, so we get some of that, but we never really get as much clarity as I think you would need for a character who is this extreme. I don't know. I liked what he did, just from a dramatic perspective. Of course, I feel bad for Margot. She was a conspirator, but I don't think she deserved the ultimate fate that she got. But again, it will be interesting to see where it all goes from here. This show still has me hooked in. This show still, in my opinion, improves over Season 1, and I loved Season 1. But Season 2 is, in my opinion, more complex thus far. and it seems like uh, I I don't know. This episode just has some really nice pacing. It had a real nice balance between the Margot stuff and the stuff where everyone is reacting to the death of Freddie Lowndes. But probably my favorite scene, and this is probably not going to serve as much of a surprise, is the scene between Hannibal and Will where they talk about Abigail and fatherhood in general. That scene just captured so much what this episode is really about. And not only that, it provided some clarity as to why Hannibal Lecter took it upon himself to help Abigail. And we actually might see some trace of remorse, because he says, "I'm sorry I took that away from you," or "I'm sorry I took her away from you." So, man, that was one of the more personal scenes for Hannibal Lecter, who usually dons this very convincing mask, and he's usually this very mysterious character on this show. We actually get some relatively emotional stuff with him this time around. I mean, and they don't go too far with it to the point where he just comes out and breaks down. Now it's very subtle, and I thought it was handled very well, and it does make sense that he would share this information with Will, of all people, because they are kindred spirits. Which, that was some clever camera techniques where it shows one of them talking, and then it shows another shot of them listening. Like, it shows Hannibal talking, and then it pans over to Will, except it's not Will there, it's Hannibal. So it's like Hannibal is talking to another version of himself, and then vice versa with Will. So that was some pretty clever editing there. Very simple, but very effective. So yeah, I like this episode. Aside from Margot's brother, I basically ate this episode up. Not to hit the nail too much on the head, but yeah, it was very well paced. The twists were very good and appropriately shocking, even if the one involving a certain character and the death of said character, you could probably see coming if you're a longtime fan of the genre. But it was very well acted by Hugh Dancy, Mads Mikkelsen, Catherine Isabel, and even Carolyn Davernus, or Davernus. I have to learn how to pronounce her last name. Alana. I mean, she got some new material this week, which again helps strengthen her character in a way that we haven't really seen too much of this season, or at least not after Will got out of the mental institution. So yeah, I like this episode. It's still very interesting. I mean, the intrigue is still there, even if this episode did have that one blemish in the form of Margot's brother, and how he basically contrasted with everything else going on in the episode in terms of subtlety, in terms of performance. It didn't really ruin the episode for me, and again, he was involved with a very gleefully sadistic scene toward the end. So again, very interested to see where everything goes from here. So yeah, that's about it. And sorry I didn't actually get to this last night. I was unfortunately busy, but again, really looking forward to the final 2 episodes. This show needs more episodes per season. Why is it all these shows I like only have 10 to 15 episodes per season? Like Game of Thrones, 10 episodes. Vikings, 9 to 10 episodes. Hannibal, 13 episodes. It's not fair. Now I'm just complaining. So I will talk to you later.